Hello, everyone. I am so happy and thrilled to be able to talk about my research paper titled Decolonizing the Notion of Urban Commons to Mitigate the Fragility of Contemporary Cities. And I am working as an assistant professor at the Huckabee College of Architecture at Texas University in Lubbock. And I have prepared this online presentation as part of the conference, international conference of 2023 in London, Repurposing Places for Social and Environmental Resilience. So as you can see here in the title, The Fragility of Contemporary Cities, I would like to begin with the increasingly vulnerability of the contemporary cities to a multitude of complex and interconnected crises, including social, environmental, political, and economic upheavals. The fragility of cities has become a pressing concern that demands urgent attention. This notion of urban fragility is not only a humanitarian concern, but it also presents an opportunity for the development of new government practices in peripheral regions. The concept of fragile cities often offers a framework for imagining new forms of humanitarian interventions that can bolster the resilience of cities. However, the deployment of this framework must be approached with caution, as the concept of resilience can become naturalized and used as a tool for governing subjects. Particularly in the context of contemporary racial management under catastrophic and apocalyptic conditions. In short, the fragility of cities is a complex and multifaceted issue that require thoughtful consideration and nuanced approaches to governance. However, in recent years, the international commons movement has increasingly joined forces with the global movement of municipalities, putting common ideas on the political agenda in many Western countries. Commons have been widely discussed in the academic literature. Broadly understood, commons refers to the practices for collective development, ownership, management, and fair access to resources and artifacts, such as social, cultural, economic, political, environmental, and technological. However, the concept remains vague, complex, and unclear, especially in different contexts in which new definitions are needed to better understand the societal and cultural dimensions of urban commons. This concept denotes the public land and national resources such as water and air accessible to all members of society for development and survival, around which historically commoners organize themselves as self-governing collectives. The commons is any collectively owned resources held in common use or possession to which anyone has access without obtaining permission of anyone else. In the new social definition, the term has taken on through grassroots projects and scholarly rethinking of common access, which has the potential to offer a richer form of interaction with the city than public ownership. In this way, urban commons as a way of experiencing collective work among strangers to govern non-commodified resources in spaces saturated with people, conflicting uses, and capitalist investment. This means that the urban commons conceptualization is a representation of resistance against the capitalist order and spatial commodification. The urban commons exist as a dynamic and collective resource, a variegated form of social wealth governed by emergent custom and constant negotiating, rebuffing and evading the fixity of law. In developing and underdeveloped countries, the extreme and negative impacts of contemporary challenges such as climate change hazards, are often exacerbated, leading to the marginalization of already vulnerable and underrepresented communities and extreme socio-political and environmental degradation. In addition, top-down state-led approaches adapted by local governments, real estate developers, and international corporations have perpetuated power imbalances, exclusion, and marginalization, erasing community trust and participation in urban governance. In this context, the concept of urban commons responds to the needs of inclusive, participatory, and equitable governance structure. However, the notion of urban commons often engages with the colonial legacy of conventional urban theory rooted in Western theories, which has led to the lack of socio-cultural understanding and application of this concept in non-European contexts. Therefore, by drawing on experiences and theoretical approaches from the South, it's crucial to decolonize the notion of urban commons to address the fragility of contemporary cities and move towards a more global cope towards the wording of cities. Decolonizing the notion of urban commons brings into visibility the unseen cultures, infrastructural systems, and communities showing where the growth and separation can occur. Therefore, this analysis can provide new insights, opportunities, and the need for new theoretical, methodological, and shared approaches. So it's important to note that decolonizing the urban commons is a fragile process that requires collective action and a commitment to justice. And also it's important to note also about the explicit and implicit inequalities. So this data, which is from the World Bank of 2020, shows that the implicit inequalities are more prevalent than explicit inequalities. So in this paper, I argue that there is a gap in transnational research and cultural understanding within the field of urban commons. This research opens new lines of inquiry relating to the definitions of common in non-Western countries. This may include longitudinal research on decolonization and potential fragmenting of the commons, and in particular, commoning mindset, more detailed empirical evidence of the cultural and communal concepts, and how these cultural diversities and new interpretations can be implemented in collaborative governance in a wider variety of non-Western contexts. By challenging the existing frameworks, this study facilitates the emergence of differentiated, dynamic, and non-linear forms of social and political subjectivity within various socio-spatial domains. And also it's important to note that decolonizing the notion of urban commons can potentially mitigate the fragility of cities in the Global South. The concept of urban commons has the potential to address this issue, but it needs to be decolonized to ensure the inclusivity and cultural diversity. This slide has already explored the concept of decolonization, the role of urban commons in contemporary cities, and the importance of community engagement and participation in decolonizing the urban commons. Also, it's important to think about the creating new systems and structures also through the historical overview. It shows that these concepts lack of cultural understanding and application, especially in non-Western contexts, is a significant challenge that must be addressed collectively through innovative research, more detailed empirical evidence, and collaborative forms of governance approaches. Doing so can promote differentiated, dynamic, and non-linear forms of social and political subjectivity within various socio-political, socio-spatial domains. Decolonizing the notion of urban commons can help mitigate the fragility of contemporary cities in Global South and move towards a more global approach to the wording of the cities. This slide also shows finding a solution for sustainable living through different urbanists, activists, philosophers, geographers, and planners. And also it's important to note that urban commons is a future possibility that can help us to decolonize our cities and create a more equitable and sustainable future. This study opens new lines of inquiry for further discussion and research, and can be discussed and can be determined and theoretize the urban commons as a pathway to resilience. It's essential to consider cultural and societal dimensions to effectively implement this concept in the Global South context. Thank you so much for your attention.